All right, Dave. The Tarrasque attacks. He hits AC 35.
Miss.
What do you mean, miss? All right, follow-up attack. He hits AC 40.
Double miss.
How is that even possible?
Well, Ted, let's talk about ways to get the highest possible armor class in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Welcome to Nerdarchy for nerds, by nerds. I'm Nerdarchy Dave, and today, as always, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Hey, maybe this is your first time visiting Ted's basement. It's a place where we like to talk about news, views, and homebrews for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Hey, sometimes we even talk about other role-playing games.
So if you don't want to miss a single video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and attune to that notification bell.
You've been dying to do this one for a long time now. You wanted to do the highest armor class in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons and see what we could come up with. Now, I played a character in your game from level 1 to level 20 who did a pretty good job with the armor class, but we could probably do better.
Yeah, Uthengar was a bit of a nightmare for me as a DM, and it wound up, creating issues when it's like, I want to field something that's going to be a challenge, and in order to be able to do so, the other players were like almost guaranteed to be hit, and that would only still give me like a 50% chance of hitting you. And it was a little unfair to the other players, but if I wasn't a threat to Dave, then I'm like, well, I'm doing something wrong. Now, we figured out other ways to do. Every character has their weakness. So even if you've got the best armor class in the game, there's still something that you're not going to be the best at. But for those regular attacks, let's dive into how to get the best armor class.
We've got this broken down in several different categories. We're going to look at different components of 5e D&D in order to do it. We're going to look at the race. We're going to look at the class. We're going to look at items. We're going to look at magic items. We're also going to look at spells.
So all of these things, are going to be the built-in components towards getting this. And, it's not something that one character is going to be able to do by themselves. You're going to have to get a little bit of allies. But, D&D parties are composed of multiple people. So I'm certain that you might be able to persuade that cleric friend to give you a nudge, and maybe that bard as well.
So, yeah, we figured out how to get up to a 41 and a 46 with a little help from our friends, of course, when we get all the way through this.
Yes, you heard that right. Armor classes into the 40s for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, the game where, 30 is considered near impossible.
Now, mind you, you only need to be 17th level in order for this to max this out.
And, we'll get to the specifics, but it will require very specific magic items, and that's going to rely very heavily on your DM's say-so and whatnot. But the rest of it, you can get by yourself.
Yeah, the 31 to 36 range, I believe, no DM's approval actually necessary, other than the fact you have to be using the optional rule for multi-classing, I believe. And they have to be allowing all the races in 5e D&D.
So when we looked at, the different ways to do this, we had to kind of look at where we wanted to go. So while we said we're going to start off with races, the classes sometimes foretell what race we have to go with. So if you want to go with the Elven Bladesinger, which definitely offers some interesting things, you have to be an elf.
Yeah, the Bladesinger is the only one that really had a racial restriction. And we only bring it up because I know people are going to be, what about the Bladesinger? But you just don't quite get there with the Bladesinger. We did look at it, though.
We did look at it. And, it's only off by a couple points if you wind up maxing out both of those stats. Other races that wind up giving you bonuses, you can look at the Barbarian, which after you go to max level, you can bump that Strength and Con up to 24, which is going to net you 12 points to your armor class, much higher than other classes are going to get, but it's still not quite enough.
And it also requires that level 20 as well to get all the way there. You can't do any multi-classing. It's impressive, but not quite there. 22 plus the shield's 24, so that it's a decent amount of armor class.
Given what the Bladesinger can do, we got the Bladesinger up to a 26 before spells, before other magic items. So really well done, but they can't use a shield. So that does preclude them from getting in there. We did talk about, well, the wording says, you can't be using a weapon in two hands, so a blade singer could technically wield two weapons, getting the dual weapon fighting feat, dual weapon wielder, and that would bump them up. But it's still not as good as what we got going.
And there's also another problem with the blade singer. That armor class is only why you're blade singing, right? And you only get to use that a limited number of times. So our other stuff is a bit more reliable.
Let's get into the specific race that we feel has the best chance of getting to that highest armor class.
All right. It doesn't actually matter what sub race you go with, but the Warforged, nothing is better than a Warforged. As long as you have proficiency in heavy armor, you're going to get a 16 armor class plus your proficiency bonus. At 17, that's a +6. That's a 22 armor class. And you can still use a shield.
And you can still use that shield. So that's going to bump you up to a 24 before any magical bonuses have really been applied. Well, we've already mentioned 24, but we're still not done yet.
Yeah, we're just essentially getting started. So next we're going to go into magic, specifically spells. But speaking of magic,
you want some awesome magic or an easier way to manage your character? You might want to check out the sponsor for this video down in the description below, D&D Beyond. They're a great resource for GMs and players alike. Whether you're creating content or you just want to see what other people are doing, highly recommend D&D Beyond.
I couldn't imagine collecting all the data and information for this video without D&D Beyond. We would have had books scattered all over the place. You wouldn't even be able to find us. We'd be behind so many books looking for every plus, every class feature that we could possibly eke out. But there's so much more over on D&D Beyond than that. You can make magic items. You can make monsters. You're eventually even going to be able to make classes and subclasses and races over there. They have tons of free content. The SRD's there. You've got videos being uploaded by Todd Kenrick. You've got all the great articles over there as well. And all that stuff is free in addition to the paid content.
So go check out D&D Beyond. Help out the channel by helping out our sponsors.
All right, so now we're going to drop into spells. We literally only have to have 5 levels of casting ability, right? A 5th level caster in order for us to start increasing our armor class significantly. And when I say significantly, I mean +5 and +10.
All right, so this is going to be, really easy. The biggest impact, first level spell, it's going to only be for a round. I'm certain you've already thought about it, and that's going to be the shield spell.
It's a reaction. When you get attacked, you can throw up shield, adds 5 to your armor class, and it's going to take effect for a full round. So that's super helpful. Also eats magic missiles.
Also incredibly helpful, as many players and DMs alike have wound up using. The next one is going to be haste. A 3rd level spell. It's got that drawback of stunning you when it's over, but you're going to get that extra attack per round. But the really important thing is it's going to add +2 to your armor class.
Yeah, so now we're up to a 7, but we said we could get up to a 10.
So what else do we have going on?
We mentioned earlier about needing a little help from our friends. That's what we're going to now. We need our cleric to give us a hand, or maybe a paladin, Oath of the Crown, I believe, with Warding Bond. They get that ring, they give it to you, they wear it, they're going to take half the damage that you take, you're going to take half the damage, but you're also going to get a +1 to your saving throws and your armor class.
With the high armor class that you're building, really all you're looking to do is get that high armor class, because they're not going to hit you anyway. So all you're doing is getting that extra +1. But we're still not there yet. The cleric can cast another spell for you.
Yes, they can. Shield of Faith, bonus action. It is a concentration spell, but they can cast it on you and give you another 2 to your armor class. It lasts 10 minutes. That's pretty much a fight.
That's going to be a fight, maybe 2 if you wind up being lucky. So this is the one where we are requiring the other one to cast the spell for you, but because haste and Shield of Faith are both concentration, you're not doing them yourself.
Absolutely. You cannot do both of them, but with the help from our friends, we can get there. That's a +5, +10. We're building that armor class.
Huzzah!
Next, we're going to go into class features, and we're going to talk about the character classes a little bit. Maybe we should have done this before, but we're doing it now. One of the things that you're going to need to do is you need to take a class that is going to give you proficiency in heavy armor. And this is one of the first things you're going to want to do so you can get that integrated protection from the Warforged going at its maximum capacity. And that means you're going to either need to be a fighter, you're going to need to be a paladin, or you could actually be a cleric. So you don't necessarily need someone else to cast that Shield of Faith. but you're going to need someone else to cast the haste if you cast it. You could actually have access to both types of magic.
But I would highly recommend you be the one to cast haste, because you want to be a war wizard so that when you cast haste and you're concentrating on it, you're going to add a +2 to your armor class.
Yes, that's going to take 10 levels of war wizard. It's quite the investment. But for that, we're going to get several things. And one of those things is being that +2 to armor class anytime we're concentrating on a spell. Also, at the very earliest of levels, as a reaction, as long as you don't cast any spells, you can get like a mini shield and get a +2 to your armor class. So if for whatever reason you don't have spell slots left, you can't cast shield, I don't know why, you can use this ability instead, and it'll give you a 2 instead of a 5.
If you're looking to build a nice Gish character that's, wearing the heavy armor and beating things down, you can definitely go this route.
Eldritch Knight would be a prime choice. That would cover some of that spell casting, as well as give you the heavy armor. Or if you want to go full caster, you can just split it right down the center between being a cleric and a wizard.
I was also looking at potentially doing this as a war wizard paladin, so that those spell slots that you're not really planning to use on your other spells, you're dealing with smites.
That would definitely be a way to go, adding some offense to the defense.
So we do have one other thing that can be useful here. We're already using those, first level spells for shield as our reaction. But if you happen to have a Valor Bard in your party and they happen to get to that combat inspiration level, I mean, we're talking about getting this to the high level campaigns anyway, so you certainly should be getting there. You're going to be able to use that inspiration die to add a D12 to your armor class at the highest levels, instead of adding a straight +5. So that's a potential 1 to 7 higher on your armor class if you manage to, roll really well.
Yeah, that could take you potentially all the way up to a 52 armor class. That's only if literally and figuratively you're willing to roll the dice. At least with shield, you're guaranteed 5. With bardic inspiration, you might roll a 1, you might roll a 12.
That knocks our classes out of the park. I think we're going to dive into the specific magic items, and here is where it takes the DM's, say so, the DM's hand, unless you're playing a game where you've got a magic item economy.
So there's 3 items that are going to add to your armor class. They all require attunement. 2 of them are basically the same, just different versions. You have a Ring of Protection and a Cloak of Protection. They're both going to add a 1 to your armor class, but they also add a 1 to all your saving throws, which is really nice.
So these are pretty easy to get. I don't know of many D&D games where you don't wind up finding them. When you've already got the high armor class, at times it's hard to be like, but I want that. That's my thing. Unless, everybody's getting one.
So next up, we already mentioned that this character is going to be a sword and board fighter, basically, or whatever you want. We just know we need a shield in that offhand. You can get up to a +3 on your magic shield, so that's going to add another 3 to your armor class. And the nice thing about just generic magic weapons and shields and armor is they don't require attunement.
But requiring attunement is definitely something that we're going to be looking at, because our ideal weapon is going to be the Defender.
This is tough. This is a legendary item. This might be a little bit harder to get from your DM. But if you do, it allows you to take that +3 and add it to your attack or to your armor class in any combination leading up to 3 that you want to use.
So super helpful. Definitely going to get you, those higher 3 points that are going to be so hard as you're cresting into the 40s. But we're still not done yet.
All right, this one's going to be really tricky to pull off and get your DM to agree to, and that is you need a special amulet. Doesn't require attunement, but it is a control amulet to a shield guardian, basically a golem. As its reaction, as long as it stands within 5 feet of you, it can always just give you a +2 to your armor class.
Shield Guardians are a lot of fun. They're great as DMs, or something that you can be able to, put next to your wizard and defending them. But there is no rules, short of the manual of the golem for any kind of golem creation processes, and none of the manual of the golems give you the instructions for making a shield golem. So this one definitely is going to be, online with, the legendary sword to try and convince your GM to let you have, especially when you've already acquired all these other things. It's like, wait a second, how high is that armor class? And you want more? Are you kidding me? You've already caused me to pull out my hair and scream and yell at you every time I miss. Sorry, this has happened. But yes, it is a way, and you might not be able to get all of these things, but if you begin seeding your thoughts early in the game that, I want to do this and I want to do that, maybe, you want to just make it happen and you want to have this ridiculous thing, this is a way to go. This is the way to get you that extra 2 points.
Or maybe some things are just best left to theorycraft. In all honesty, there is nothing from keeping you from having multiple shield guardians. So you could put them all around you. In theory, maybe this is a villain idea, even better, and keep getting that +2 to armor class. I believe it's just a flat bonus, so they would just stack. But we're not doing that. We're going to leave our foolishness just to one shield guardian. So now basically our maximum AC is 46. If we want to roll the die and get help from the bard, it can go up to a 52. That is ridiculous enough as far as I'm concerned.
So what do you think of this particular combination? Is there anything in the vast amounts of 5th edition that, core material that we've missed? Down in the comments, let us know.
But before you head on out, we want to invite you to join the Nerdarchy Adventuring Party over on Patreon. Hey, Ted, what can they find over there?
So every month, we're creating products for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons that players and DMs alike can drop right into their game.
But not only that, Ted, every month we do giveaways and we automatically enter the patrons.
That's true, but that's still not all. We do a weekly hangout with our patrons and more.
So quest down to the description, join the Nerdarchy Adventuring Party, and until next time,
Stay nerdy.